together. Christy Craft along with Johnny Holiday here at Haines City at the Greenleaf Resort, where some 1,150 young gymnasts have been competing all week long with ideal conditions. And tonight, we're going to have a chance to see the National Team Championships. Christy, as a coach in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you have seen the competition the past 3 years. American Twisters has won this event, the Team Championships, 2 of the last 4 years. Can they do it again?
Well, they certainly are capable, but they'll need to have a great meet to repeat. They'll be strongly challenged by Jim Strata out of Virginia, as well as Capital Gymnastics out of Burke, Virginia.
And, of course, as we've seen the past couple of years in covering this event, not only are we seeing the team championships tonight, but also we will see some wonderful, tremendous individual talent on the floor tonight.
Yes, we're very excited. We have some of the top junior gymnasts in the United States competing here today. Brianne Rutherford from New England Gym Express, Gil Couture from Capital Gymnastics, as well as Alexis Brion, really the darling of this competition the past 2 years.
We saw her last year, and she was something, wasn't she?
Right.
As a coach in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know what's going through the young ladies' minds as they prepare for tonight's event. Certainly, pressure is on them, but most of them are accustomed to having pressure.
Certainly, these athletes train approximately 30 hours per week, so this is like payday for them. They're here to pick up their check, so to speak. They've done the work, now they want their prize.
Gymnastics growing by leaps and bounds throughout the United States. Over 2.5 million young people competing in clubs all around the country. Tonight, we'll see the very best of them here in the team championship competition. Christy and I'll be back at the Greenleaf Resort in Haines City, Florida after these messages. Craft at Greenleaf Resort in Haines City, Florida. The vault is one of the areas we'll be focusing on tonight. And let's talk about how the gymnasts approach the vault. They have 2 opportunities down the runway, and they also have to tell the judges ahead of time what they're going to do.
Actually, Johnny, vaulting is unlike any other event in gymnastics in that, first of all, the athletes must indicate what vault they'll be performing, unlike balance beam floor exercise on bars, where they show their routine and then the judges just judge what they saw. In vault, there's actually a deduction if you perform a vault other than the one that you indicate. So the coach goes down and flashes the vault. Each vault's assigned a number, and that will indicate the vault the gymnast is doing and also the start value, which is very important in gymnastics. In vaulting, we're looking at starting with anywhere from 9.0, let's say, to 10.0 vaults for the very difficult vault. And the higher start values generally, if they're well performed, will score the highest scores and get the highest mark. We're looking for a great repulsion on the vault. So as the gymnasts run down here and establish their speed, when they contact the boards, we want to see a great push with a lot of height and distance. And then, of course, an opening prior to the landing with a nice, what we call in gymnastics, stuck landing.
As a coach for 18 years, is it necessary that a youngster competing in the vault be of slight build, a diminutive?
Actually, vaulting is, if you think about it, it's 25% of the score, and it really favors a certain type of athlete. Basically, the athletes who can run like Carl Lewis do really well in vaulting. So vault favors the very quick athletes' explosive power. You know, it's one skill, but it counts for 25%, as opposed to the other events where the gymnasts perform up to 10 or 11 skills and still count 25% if they're all around.
Interesting when you made the comment that they have to tell the judges what they're going to do, and if they don't do it exactly that way, they're deducted for it.
Yes, if the judges are expecting an athlete to perform a certain vault and the athlete does not perform that vault, the judges will take 5/10 off the score for performing the wrong vault and then judge the vault that was actually performed.
And there you see a look at some of the judges on the judges' table. And you, as a current Olympic level judge, know them all quite well.
Well, we're looking right now at vaulting, and we're going to see some very unusual vaults from American Twisters. They really live up to their name. Many of their athletes perform handspring double twist in the post flight, and that's a lot of twisting to accomplish before the landing.
American Twisters from Florida, and Giselle Bonaforte is getting set to compete on the vault. Born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, 16. Coach Tim and Tony Rand. And I think of all of her events, she says she likes the bars the most, not the vault.
Well,
we'll see how she can do in the vault.
Her coaches put her up last on the vault, and generally speaking, the coaches like to finish with a strong athlete. So while she may favor another event, I would expect that she's quite good on this one.
All right, let's take a look at Giselle Bonaforte.
A lot of twisting. Now, I was looking on this. We have a table that has the vaults on it. This vault is a handspring with a 2.5 twist. Here's a replay.
Where does she go wrong here?
Well, that's
right
just
there.
a lot of twisting to accomplish in that amount of time. She is the first athlete I have ever seen perform this vault. That's a 10-0 vault. So we can expect...
You have never seen this before?
I have never seen an athlete perform a 2.5 twist.
Well, I think she's to be congratulated for giving at least a shot.
There's a picture of her coach, Tim Rand. Can't tell if he's happy or not. We'll have to wait and see what the score is. Here's her second attempt. Handspring 2.5 twist. You know, that is an outstanding job. You see that she slightly under-rotated the twist. She was almost there. It was 2 1/4, let's say. Here's a replay. She pushes and she has to begin the twist very, very early. She's almost like one hand is still on the horse when she begins the twist. There's her finish, 2 1/4. That's a lot of twisting, and you have to remember, Johnny, that the judges aren't seeing this in slow motion.
Exactly. We saw her with one hand in front of the other one.
But I doubt that from their angle that they saw that. And also, you know, to perform that kind of vault, you need to start the twist very early.
For Capital Gymnastics, Angela Hickman, who's 15. Pocatello, Idaho. National Training Center. In Manassas, Virginia. She performs for Capital Gymnastics.
Okay. Angela just performed one of the required release moves, a straddle back to the handstand. Now she's doing another one of the requirements, change of direction. She did a giant with a half turn into a front giant full pirouette. Overshoot using both bars, also a requirement in gymnastics. We don't want to see it become men's high bar. We'd like to see them use both uneven bars. And here's her dismount, a double twist flyaway. It was a very clean routine. She lacked having a big, spectacular release move that, like we'll see later on in the competition.
Well, the judges should score well on that.
It's nice and clean, and basically in gymnastics, if you don't give them anything to deduct, you receive a high score. It was a nice dismount, good landing, maybe a 10th on it, but nice leg form. Legs are together, toes pointed. On bars, we're looking for straight arm work. So we see her kip, cast to the handstand. Here's her giant swing, slight elbow bend, but nice leg form, double twist, and just 1/10 deduction on the landing.
All right, let's take a look at Kathy Burke now. On the beam from Jim Bees. And they're from Pennsylvania. Downingtown, Pennsylvania.
Right now, Kathy is waiting for the judges to signal that they have completed the scoring from the previous athlete and that she can begin her routine. On the balance beam, the time clock begins when the gymnast touches the beam.
Do the athletes get themselves sort of geared up? I mean, if they get in the rhythm of a competition like this and they're ready to go and they want to get out there and perform, any sort of delay throws them off a little bit?
Well, most of these girls are veterans of competition. They expect to wait for the judges. And on balance beam, you want to be relaxed above all else. This is not an event where you get really keyed up. That was a very difficult mount, a round-off layout step out onto the beam. You saw that she finished her round-off backward on the board and went literally a blind landing onto the balance beam.
Kathy is 17. Has a brother who's 12 years of age supporting her tonight, and her parents, Peter and Joan, are here.
Kathy has a lot of experience in this type of national competition, and particularly competing for her team. And she's a very solid performer. The coaches put her up 3rd, so I'm sure that they expect her to set up the score for their final competitor.
And you're taking a look at perhaps one of the future doctors of America. She'd love to go into the medical profession. Christy, you and I had a chance to visit with some of these young ladies tonight before our telecast. They are just as delightful as any you've ever met or coached.
Well, that's true. And these kids, you see that they do work awfully hard, and they can flip and they can twist, and they do some amazing things, but they're really just kids, and they enjoy their stay here, playing in the pool and just hanging out when they're not doing gymnastics.
Typical American teenagers, most
exactly.
of them.
Now, there was a very unusual dismount. Most of the athletes will dismount off the end of the balance beam. Kathy dismounted off the side with a gainer full twist.
Let's watch her dismount. Kathy Burke.
I'll tell you, this dismount can make the judges jump if they're not ready. It looks like she's going to do a skill on the beam, and then she does a tuck full twist off the side. Very unusual and creative.
Jim B's Gymnastics from Downingtown, Pennsylvania. As they gather around their coaches and fellow teammates.
Our final competitor on the floor from Gym Carolina,
is Cassie Cosgrove. Cassie from the Gym Carolina Gymnastics Academy in North Carolina, in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Cassie has a very lyrical dance style. Unlike the compulsory routines that we see at the lower levels in gymnastics, at this level, all of the gymnasts will perform different routines to the music that they've selected that best suits their personality and their body type.
Cassie is 12. 3 coaches on the Gym Carolina Gymnastics Academy team: Kristen Kennedy, Penny Johnson, and Gregory Gutkin.
Now she's setting up for her first tumbling pass. Round off, back handspring, 2.5 twists. That's what we call a D element, which is one of the more difficult elements in gymnastics. And unfortunately, she's had a few stumbles there on the simple things, like a little full turn, but now she's gotten it back together. That leap that she just performed, a cat leap double turn, is also a D element. So she's performed her required D, and the second D will be bonus for her.
So there is one required D.
In this competition, there will be a required D. They're using rules like competition 2, which means that a D is required. That was an interesting middle tumbling pass. Whip back, immediate 1.5 twisting back somersault.
Ladies,
wonderful finish, and the audience loves it.
Now, gymnasts, we'd like you to line up in your teams and proceed to your...
Interesting that Cassie was asked about her favorite gymnast, Dominique Dawes, who stood out here a couple of years ago, and national team member. And let's take a look one more time with Cassie Cosgrove.
She's setting up for her final tumbling pass. She does round off, whip back, immediate 1.5 twisting layout. That's really difficult, although she makes it look very, very easy.
She certainly does that. Cassie, you're not very big.
Most of these gymnasts aren't very big.
Is that what you look for as a coach, Christy?
I think that we look for a willingness to work hard, to try, and to learn.
Before the competition.
1,150 gymnasts have been here all week long, and we'll return to the Greenleaf Resort in Haines City, Florida. This is the 1995 USAIGC National Gymnastics Team Championships. The finals will come back after holiday. Along with Christy Kraft, let's take a look at the individual scoring we have seen thus far here at the 1995 USAIGC Team Championships. After one round, any surprises here, Christy?
No, and actually all of those are excellent scores that will really help their team scores. I'm very impressed with the score they gave Bonaforte on the vault, 9.675. Excellent score for a very, very difficult skill.
There are 8 teams competing for the national championship tonight, the team title, and let's take a look and see who's on top at this stage of our competition. Jim Strata leading in front of the American Twisters and the New England Gym Express.
Just 1/10 of a point separating Jim Strata and American Twisters. But you have to remember, they've only completed one event, 3 more to go, and we'll need to see people hit their routines in order for anyone to win, really. They're going to have nice, solid performances.
All week long, we've had an opportunity to watch some tremendous individual competition with the youngsters representing the children's division, the junior division, and the senior division. I think it's safe to say that these young ladies have had themselves a week in Haines City here at the Greenleaf Resort they'll never forget. 175 clubs came to Haines City for this event, and that's 175 out of about 4,000. Let's go to the vault now on the second round and look at Emily Schell.
Okay, that is an extremely difficult vault. I had to check my vault table twice to make sure that she was flashing the correct vault. It's a handspring front in a tuck position with a full twist. Extremely difficult, rated a 10.0, which means that if she performed it perfectly, she could receive the perfect 10.
Now, Emily is a national vault champion, 1994-95. She certainly is one of the best on this particular event.
That is one of the most difficult vaults being performed anywhere by anyone.
And she'll have another opportunity. Sometimes you'll hear sporadic applause, which will come up, and you're probably saying, what are they applauding for? She's standing right there in the middle of the screen. It's other competitors competing here in the hall. We have one right now on the beam. Here's the second run for Emily Schell.
You know, it's a shame that she wasn't able to stand that up because we would be looking at a very big score, but that's a lot to accomplish in a very short amount of time. Here's her entry. She does handspring, tuck front, and then she begins her twist, and she has to do a full twist.
Do the judges give her any sort of advantage for attempting something as difficult as that?
Well, the start value really indicates what kind of advantage, but even though she did have an error on the landing, she did have a 10.0 start value, so that does recognize the difficulty.
Emily Schell. Now Marissa Medall, who's 13 from Pompano Beach for the American Twisters. She'll be in the bars. And we asked her earlier about what does she think about when she's on those bars.
Sometimes, you know, sometimes it surprises me because I'll just be thinking about anything, you know. So like one time, you know, I was thinking about some song and I was just singing the song in my head or something, you know. And I'm like, how could I be thinking this, you know? Some other times I'll just be concentrating really hard on my next trick, but most of the time, you know, I'll be concentrating, but other times, you know, my head will just be like.
Marissa, up next, and we'll have a good look at her. Been in gymnastics for 9 years.
Yes, and I know that Marissa will not be thinking about a song during this event because she's performing a skill for the very first time for her. She's going to be performing a reverse hex, or what we call in gymnastics a takachev, which is named after the first athlete who ever performed the skill. You see her coach Tim Rand standing behind the bar to spot her. There it is. Terrific.
She nailed it.
Absolutely terrific. And that's great to see her be successful in her first attempt in a competition. That's really going to help her confidence in her future competitions and meets. Now she's finishing up her routine. She really had a difficult routine, and there's a double layout just now. That is an E value. That is excellent, excellent, extraordinary, and I believe the E stands for extra hard.
Watch the dismount again as she gets a hug from her coach.
Here she's setting up with her giant swing, and you really have to be moving fast. She's going to be totally extended and rotate around off her hands twice. It was a beautiful dismount, just a little step on the landing, but I'm sure her coaches are happy and they'll take it.
That's Marissa Medall from the American Twisters, champions in the team event 1992 and 1994.
And I have to say that Marissa is one of my favorite gymnasts to watch. She just has tons of personality, and she's a very talented performer. She's competing in the 1996 group, trying to qualify for the Olympic Games.
Now Imran Salim from Capital Gymnastics National Training Center. Imran is 15.
Imran just performed a switch leap with a quarter turn. That's also a D element. So not only are the tumbling skills given a rating, but also the dance element. Here's her tumbling series. Back handspring, layout, back handspring. Just a little off on the landing, maybe a half a tenth, but she receives a 10th bonus for performing a 3-flight series with the layout. Now she's performing her jump combination. That's one of the requirements on the balance beam, as is the full turn that she just completed.
Judges looking on intently.
That was a very unusual move. It's going to be interesting to see what value the judges give that, because she was a little bit short of vertical. There's her switch split, immediate gainer back handspring. She looks like she's getting a little nervous here. Every time the athlete wobbles or has a little form break, there's a corresponding deduction. There's her dismount, round off, double twist.
Erin Salim from Capital Gymnastics. 8th grader with a 3.0 average. Take a look at it once again.
She begins like she's going to do a back handspring, and actually she's attempting to do an O'Million check, a back handspring with a quarter twist. She was a little short. Here's her dismount, a round off.
Good dismount.
Double twist. Yes, it was a good dismount. I wouldn't say that it was without deduction, but nice and clean and safely performed. And you know, the name of the game in the balance beam is stay on.
Right. Now to the floor exercises. Donna Sickler of Jim Bees Gymnastics Center in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. She's 16. Her coach is Earl Metzler.
And floor exercise is one of Donna's favorite events. Donna considers herself more of a tumbler than a dancer. Here she's setting up for her first tumbling pass. Round off, back handspring, full in, back out. Oh, that is a very difficult skill. In this competition, that skill is rated as an E. However, she will not receive the bonus because she had a fall on it.
Seems like a lot of these young ladies trying some very difficult maneuvers tonight.
The standard of the competition is very high. The athletes are taking risks, and you know, if they can hit their routines, the risk will pay off. Here's her middle pass, 3 whips, through to a double twist.
I see what you mean about the tumbling.
As she is a good tumbler, that pass, the 3 whips into salto, was made popular by Kim Zmeskal back in the Olympic Games in 1992. That pass is worth 2/10 bonus to Donna.
In Barcelona.
Donna's taking a little breather here as she prepares for her last tumbling pass.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I cannot believe the level of difficulty that Donna attempted during that floor routine. It's an excellent finish. No, actually, that was a routine that finished with a skill rated as high as the skill she began the routine with.
Donna Sickler, 16 years of age, born in Philadelphia, now competing for the Jim Bees Gymnastics Center in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Let's take a look at the first tumbling pass.
Now, Donna attempted a full twisting double back or full in, back out.
No flash photography.
Now, this is a look at her second tumbling pass. The 3 whips through to a double twist. Very nicely performed. Do you see how she stepped out of bounds there? That'll be 1/10 deduction.
I'd also like to thank our sponsors who have been so supportive and helpful through the entire week.
She does round up back handspring, and she has to set up really high because she's trying to get around 3 times. Now, Donna was a little bit short on that. Of course, the judges don't have the advantage of seeing it in slow motion, so they may give her credit for that pass. But that's an excellent effort. Very, very difficult skill to end your routine on.
We'll take a break, and we will continue with the United States Association of Individual Craft. Let's take a look now at the individual scores from Emily Sherrill, Marissa Vidal, Erin Salim, and Donna Sickler. Sherrill on the vault, and down on the bars, Salim on the beam, and Sickler on the floor.
That's an amazing score from Marissa Vidal on bars, 9.9. We saw her take a step on the dismount. That means the rest of her routine was absolutely perfect.
Uneven bars, certainly a difficult event to compete in. Let's talk about what judges look for and how difficult this is as far as competing is concerned.
Well, when we watch the routine, uneven parallel bars differ from men's horizontal bar because there are 2, and the judges expect to see use of both bars. They also want to see direction changes. So the athletes will not be going from only from high bar to low bar, but also changing from forward skills to backward skills. Another thing that always a crowd favorite and very impressive with the judges, because they carry a high values, are the big release moves, the reverse hack, the Jaegers, where the athletes flip and re-grasp the same bar. And of course, the exciting dismounts, like we saw Marissa Medal perform, like a double layout or a double front. You know, the big value dismounts, those are excellent skills that can really help improve the score.
Is it necessary, the gymnast, to be able to compete at a real top level to go on to perhaps become a member of the Olympic team? Do they spend more time on one of these events than they would in the other? More time on the bars or the floor exercises?
It really depends on the athlete. You know, certain types of athletes are well suited for tumbling and vaulting, for example, like Donna Sisler. We saw her that she was very good on tumbling, but she would probably need a little more work than on uneven bars or floor exercise. And the athletes always have their favorite events.
Some of the folks who are helping to bring you our presentation of the USAIGC Team Championships tonight here at Greenleaf Resort, just outside of Orlando, Florida, in Haines City. Second time in 3 years we've had the wonderful opportunity to come down to Florida, and they have just gone out of their way to make not only all the gymnasts feel home and comfortable, but their parents and their friends who've come down to support each and every one of them. Been a nice week. Very nice week. Christy's all tanned and relaxed and rested after one day here.
After one day, I'm all relaxed. That's true. I'm probably relaxed because I don't have an athlete out on the floor.
Now let's go rotation. Number 4, and on the vault
next week, Amy Myerson from Connecticut, who came to nationals and did a Jaeger and Kachak on a full difficulty routine at 22 years old. Congratulations.
6th grader with a 4.0 average in school. Betty and Patty Bauckham are her parents. Nickname is Candy Corn.
We see Candace. She looks calm and collected as she waits for the judge's signal for her vault.
Of the American Gymnastics Academy, one of the 8 teams here vying for the team championship.
Now, Candace has flashed. Sometimes when the camera shoots back at the end of the runway, you can see the vault number. She's flashed 2301, which is a handspring tuck front somersault. The value of that vault is 9.7, which means there you can see it, 2301.
Okay.
But if she performs this vault perfectly, the maximum score that she can achieve is a 9.7. She has a nice fast run, good push, and handspring punch just a little slow on the rotation. Wasn't able to get it around.
American Gymnastics Academy from Long Beach, California. Once again, first run.
Now, she looks all right going on to four. She was a little early tucking, which killed some of her height and rotation, so she wasn't able to make it around. One thing that the gymnasts have to be careful of when they compete on vaulting is if they don't turn all the way around and land feet first, they can actually score a 0. So the vault won't count at all. Now, Candace did receive a score for that vault, but she hopes to improve this time. Vaulting, as we know, you have 2 chances, and the judges take the best of the 2 vaults.
And like so many young ladies who come out of this competition, her favorite gymnast, Dominique Gauze.
If that was a little better vault, she was a little slow going on. You know, vaulting is a power event, and you really need to get upside down quickly. You see Candace running down the vault runway here. As she goes towards a horse, she has a better push, but just a little slow on the rotation. She almost had it.
We saw Amy Murrick. There's once again a look at Candace with her second run on the vault.
Now remember, when we see her score, that'll be 5/10 off for the fall. It's always 5/10 off when you fall in gymnastics.
Down to the bars, Amy Murakami. New England Gym Express.
Amy is a veteran competitor, probably the strongest bar worker on her team, and she has a great release move, a beautiful Kachak. It's very impressive, very big with a lot of flight. You can see her coach Blaine Jefferson stepping up to spot her. Here's her full pirouette, immediate reverse hex. That is beautifully performed, and that is a combination that will give Amy bonus points. Off oftentimes you see the coaches standing behind the bars. That's to protect the athlete in the event that they would miss the release move.
That time, a coach wasn't needed. Blaine Jefferson and Maureen Gagnon, the coaches. 18-year-old Amy Murakami from the New England Gymnastics Express in Newington, Connecticut. I think she liked that.
It was a very clean routine. Here's a look at her dismount. She does it toe on, front with a half twist, sticks the landing, beautifully done. And that's also the 1996 Olympic compulsory bar routines dismount.
So she's perhaps has her eyes set on
Had a
Olympic
little
slot.
practice
Yes, sir.
on that.
Katie McFarland. From Gym Strata, Katie's 12. And she'll be on the beam.
Our final competitor on the balance beam is Katie.
Katie is a very strong athlete. She's a strong all-arounder. She's excellent on every event.
United States of America.
She's one of the strongest juniors in the country. And she has a very difficult balance beam routine.
And she started at age 7, only 5 years ago.
And actually, age 7 is almost late in gymnastics, although it's never too late to get started. But to achieve the level that Katie has achieved, that's really remarkable progress, because many of these athletes probably started gymnastics at age 2.5 or 3.
Katie just waiting to get the go-ahead before she gets up in the balance beam.
Katie?
And here she goes.
Katie performs a press handstand immediate planche for her mount. And we call that a tick-tock, because the athlete goes forward and backwards and immediately into her straddle jump, which is one of the requirements in gymnastics.
Christy, the way she began this event, strong upper body, her arms.
She is a strong child. Know that they train very hard. Here's her tumbling sequence.
Very nice.
Back handspring, step out, back handspring, feet together. To a layout, step out with feet together. You see, that's a very unusual tumbling pass. Most of the athletes perform their layout, step out, and come down 1 foot at a time. Katie's so small, she can get both feet on the beam at the same time.
Not very tall, is she? Notice how quiet the fans are.
There's her front somersault. That's a D element. Remember that the skills are ranked A through E, D being one of the more difficult skills and a skill that she will receive bonus for. That switch side leap is also a D element. And we see Katie setting up for her dismount. Back handspring to a nice high double back.
Yes.
And it's great to see her smile.
Kind of a sigh of relief as she heads for her coaches.
I think I felt the sigh in the entire room. Here's another look at Katie's tumbling sequence. And you'll see she performs the first back handspring and steps out 1 foot at a time, then both feet, and a layout step out landing on both feet.
She's the 1995 level 10 regional
and the dismount coming up.
It's very difficult dismount. Not only is a double back a D element, but also she tumbles into it. You know, Katie's so small, the beam looks wide. She looks like she's tumbling on the floor exercise.
And she is very, very happy. Katie McFarland. Angie Dorman now on the floor exercise from Verdugo out of Los Angeles, California.
Now, Angie has a beautiful body line, and the judges are really looking for those full range of motion, the full splits, the high jumps, and nice extension through the body. That move is called a popa, named after the Romanian gymnast who did it for the first time, a full twisting straddle jump, also a D element. Here's her first tumbling pass, round up back handspring, double pike somersault, which in this competition will be counted as a D. So now she's performed her required D, and she's just working on bonus.
What's her level of difficulty in this event right now?
All of the routines are starting at a 9.4, and one of the Ds is required. So after they perform the required D, then each additional D will gain the gymnast an extra 10th in her start value.
Very graceful 12-year-old from Altadena, California, born in Newhall, California. And she started at age 4.
Well, that's pretty much the norm in gymnastics. You get in there front, flip-flop, tuck front. We're seeing a lot more front tumbling in the past 2 or 3 years than we've ever seen in the past, and that's because the Code of Points is starting to recognize and reward the front tumbling, so the coaches are teaching it. She finishes with a full twist layout. It was a nice, clean routine. However, clearly not up to the same level of difficulty, and I think that that will hurt her in terms of her score. But I spoke to their coach, Hal Halverson, earlier, and he said, you know, it's an inexperienced team. This year, they're just getting their feet wet. They intend to come back next year to really contend.
But they're here among the top 8. Here's her first pass.
Here she does round-off pike handspring, double pike somersault. Nice and clean. She could have opened a little earlier. Now here's her second tumbling pass. Front handspring, front flip-flop, tuck, front somersault. Now you see the difference in the difficulty from some of the more experienced athletes. That tuck front somersault is rated as an A element.
1995 level 10 regional floor champion was Angela Dorman, and 95 junior Olympic national team member. We'll come back. Plenty more coming up here from Haines City, Florida. Greenleaf Resort City, Florida, the site of the 1995 USAIGC National Team Championships in Gymnastics. Let's take a look at some individual numbers posted in our last run through. On the vault, Bachman with a 9.025, Murakami in the bars, McFarland the beam, and Dorman on the floor exercise.
We see the 2 highest scores in that rotation were from one of the youngest and one of the oldest competitors in the meet. Murakami on the bars and McFarland on the balance beam.
And the American Twisters, defending champions here. They won it 2 of the last 4 years. They've got the lead barely over New England Gym Express.
Well, they're about 5/10 ahead, which is a fall. They haven't had any falls, and that has been really to their credit, and that's why they're in first place. If they can keep this up, they will be defending champions again next year.
I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit, Coach. Go from commentator to coachcraft now, and talk a little bit about the balance beam.
Well, the judges are looking for a combination of things on the balance beam. They're looking for tumbling series, or tumbling elements, and they expect the athletes to tumble on the beam exactly as if they were on the floor. And then they're also looking for dance elements. And one of the requirements of the balance beam is a tumbling skill and a dance skill combined. So they have to be directly connected. We're looking for steadiness on the balance beam. As a coach or a judge, you really want to see an athlete who takes control and is very confident up there, because, you know, there's no music. They're focusing 100% on the athlete. The balance beam is only 4 inches wide, 16 feet long, and so we're looking for a very steady type performer.
How much time do you spend with your athletes working on the beam?
It really depends. Many people say that the balance beam is the key to the all-around, and that you can never spend enough time on the beam, because that's the event that will make or break the all-around performance.
Johnny Marie, Gavick getting set to compete. As we start the next rotation, the vault, bars, beam, and floor exercises, and Johnny Marie representing Verdugo Gymnastics Center in Glendale, California. And here she goes with her first run on the vault.
Johnny Marie performed a layout Sukahara. Now, we've been seeing a lot more athletes perform the round-off entry vault. This is the vault that Mary Lou Retton made famous back in 1984, the regular entry, Sukahara entry, named after a Japanese fellow who did it the first time, where they gymnast as a handspring with a half twist on, and then she performed it in layout position, a layout somersault off.
And one of the other future doctors in this world coming up, and she'd like to go into the medical profession, as a lot of these young ladies would like to later on. Johnny Marie's only 14.
She's a very determined young lady, as you can see by the expression on her face as she goes into her second vault. It's a nice vault, good position in the air, one step on the landing, but a nice open position, nice and safe, and that's what we like to see. We like to see the gymnast land upright. Here's her approach. She runs, goes on the horse, and layout position, totally stretched, which is really the most difficult position to rotate or flip in. Tuck, of course, being the most simple. There's her layout. That vault is valued at a 9.6, which means that she cannot score higher than a 9.6, but it was well done, and I would expect a good score there.
Johnny Marie, besides gymnastics, loves to swim, and she plays some basketball and also plays some soccer. Now let's go to the balance bars, to the
uneven bars.
Uneven bars. Carrie Funk, American Gymnastics Academy from California. Carrie 16.
As you can see, Carrie's performance, she starts on the low bar. Now she's up on the high bar. She's already performed a half twist. That's one of the release moves that is required, which must be at least a B value. So a medium level difficulty for the release is required. And there's her dismount, a double tuck. Now, you will see Carrie will probably not be able to score as high as some of the other routines because she doesn't have the difficulty.
Right, let's watch the dismount one more time.
She's performing a double tuck somersault. In this competition, that dismount is valued at a C, but Carrie needed to have a D element in her routine. She did not receive credit for a D, so we would expect her score to start, her start value to be much lower. Missing a D is an automatic 8/10 deduction. So,
I'm sorry.
Oh, so her perfect score would be probably an 8/8. So we're looking at a routine that was performed well but will not score all that high.
Brianne Rutherford getting set to perform on the balance beam from the Express, New England Express of Newington, Connecticut. Interesting, she has a sister also here in the competition she trains with.
My sister's 16, and when she started gymnastics, my mom felt that I should be in it too. So that's how I started. And when I work out with her, it's a little bit easier than just being there by myself. And she encourages me more, and I feel more comfortable when we compete together. And when I travel with her, I always have somebody there that I know, and it's fun with her.
Heading for the 9th grade in the fall. And Brianne loves Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So does Christy and I. We like them too, always.
Right.
One of my favorite groups. And she'll be on the balance beam.
Member of the USA Junior National Team.
Brianne is currently ranked 8th in the United States. She's getting ready to go on her first international trip, actually, to represent the U.S. in international competition. And balance beam is one of her best events, as it is for many of the athletes from New England Gym Express. They consider themselves a great beam team. They tend to be very solid and consistent on this event, which is, as we know, how you get high scores.
The beam team.
There's
U.S. Junior National Team number 2.
Yes, and this is part of the reason Brianne is very aggressive on the balance beam. She just performed her switch side lead, which is a D element, so she has her required D out of the way. And now she's preparing for her tumbling series. Back handspring, layout, layout. She was a little bit crooked there, but a good fighter, and she stuck with it and was able to save it. There's her jump or leap combination. The athletes are required to perform 2 dance elements directly connected. And here is her gym acro, which means that she must perform a dance element and an acrobatic element directly connected. Oftentimes, the athletes will pause between those 2 elements, which will result in a 1/10 of a point deduction.
They have to be consecutive.
They have to be absolutely connected. There's the second tumbling series. That was beautiful back handspring, layout, somersault, landing on 2 feet. Very, very well done. And now Brianne's setting up for a dismount. Performs a round-off double tuck somersault. That was a beautiful routine. Obviously, her coach, Maureen Shangton, is very happy, as are her teammates. The girl who just hugged her was her sister, Vanessa Rutherford.
Watch the dismount again.
Or the Junior Pacific Alliance.
She's approaching, and she does round off. Here she does double tuck and stitch. She will not move her feet. That was an excellent job, and we're so excited to see Brianne representing the United States.
Want to wish her well. That'll be next week in Columbia, South America. Alexis Brion is next on the floor exercises, and we asked her earlier what's up in her gymnastic future.
Since I qualified to go to South America, and I'm meeting California the budget car invitational, and so I get to compete with all the big guys like Dominique and Amy, Chow, and Carrie, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Gonna compete with all the big guys, huh? Like Dominique.
Well,
but I guess in her eyes they are. mighty big.
They are big guys, but let me tell you, this one will be viewed as a big guy after this crowd gets a load of what this kid can do. She has one of the most difficult floor routines being performed in the United States today.
Alexis Brion.
Alexis has some tremendous credentials. She, too, will be representing the United States in some future events.
Yes, and she's currently ranked second in the country in the junior division to Gil Coutura, who's performing here for Capital.
Alexis Brion from Gym Strata.
Alexis has a very mature style for such a little girl. And here we go with her first tumbling pass. A round-up back handspring, double layout. Oh, that's a shame that she had to step out of bounds. That will result in a 10th deduction, but it was very well performed. And that's a very difficult skill. That's an E element.
I remember 2 years ago when she was 10 years of age, she really captified the audience here. They loved her.
Well, I think we were all impressed. As soon as we saw her, we knew she was something special. There's her full in, back out, full twisting double back for a second pass, which is very difficult to do for a first pass, let alone second pass.
Alexis's nickname is the Trickster, only in 6th grade.
And she is quite a trickster, but, you know, her style has really developed in the past 2 years since we saw her the first time. And that poise and grace will come with experience.
Looks pretty poised to me, even at age 12.
She's setting
It's only going to get better, huh?
her last tumbling pass. Now watch this. She does round off whip, back handspring, triple twist. That is a fantastically difficult series. The whip through to the triple. She finished with an E element, began with an E element. I would expect a very high score.
They love her.
Whip will step out of bounds.
Oh, the fans, you see, they love Alexis Brion. Again, her first tumbling pass of Alexis Brion.
You have a 3-minute warm-up.
Now we see Alexis take off. She has to be very upright on the takeoff. This is her middle tumbling pass, the full in, back out. Full twist in the first somersault, pike somersault out of it. And here's a look at our last tumbling pass. Whip, back handspring, triple twist. That's a layout somersault with 3 full revolutions.
Alexis Brion. We'll continue with our competition from Haines City, Florida. Still to come, Joby Goldberg. Gymnastics Championships continues from beautiful Greenleaf Resort here in Haines City, Florida. Let's take a look at some more of the numbers posted earlier. McGavick on the vault, 9.425. Funk on the bars, Rutherford the beam, and Brion on the floor. Any of those surprise you, Christy?
Well, the only thing that might surprise the viewing audience is that Funk did not have a fall on the bars, but she had a low score. That's because she did not perform one of the required elements, the D element. Therefore, she had a lower start value. As we've talked many times tonight about this wonderful week here in Haines City, Florida at the Greenleaf Resort, Marlene Young is one of those so proud of what's happening here in Central Florida. She is the chairman of the Polk County Commission. We talked earlier about this beautiful resort here south of Orlando. Just south of Orlando, the Greenleaf Resort is right in the middle of Polk County. Of course, the center of Polk County is Haines City, Florida. And the chairman of the Commission of Haines City, Florida is Marlene Young. And you've got to be so proud with what this area has to offer, everything and so much other than gymnastics.
We really are. We have a beautiful environment, wonderful natural resources, very lovely facilities, and really warm, friendly people. So we're a perfect host site.
And there's almost something for everybody. There's water sports. Cypress Gardens is just around the corner. There's volleyball. There's basketball. There's soccer. All sorts of things here in Central Florida.
We offer a variety. Polk County tries very hard to promote ourselves as a destination for visitors, conventions, meetings, and sporting events especially.
Well, and I think that this event, USAIGC, coming back to the Greenleaf in Haines City, is a perfect example of someone being extremely happy with what has happened here. This is the second time in 3 years we've been here.
Well, we're certainly glad to hear that because we are very honored to be able to host this prestigious event. It's wonderful to have these kind of wholesome, family-oriented activities, and they're good for the economy, too, so we both win. Being a native Floridian, I can certainly attest to the fact the weather is outstanding. The weather's tremendous. It's been a wonderful week here. It's almost like you ordered this for us to come down. And golfing is a especially good.
When you don't lose a lot of balls. Marlene, thank you very much. It's great to see you. Nice to be here, and continued success to Polk County.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
Marlene Young, chairman of the Polk County Commission, visiting with us. We continue with our competition, the team competition. For the team championship, 8 teams are vying to see who can come away with the title and dethrone perhaps the American Twisters as we go to Abigail Ritchie. Abigail on the vault.
Here we see she's approaching. There's her vault, a handspring front somersault in a tuck position. That value of that vault is a 9.7. Maximum score she can achieve.
Little advice from the coach, from the Jim Bees gymnastics team from Downingtown, Pennsylvania.
Now, we just saw her speaking with her coach, Earl Metzler.
Earl and Pam, husband and wife combination.
That's a winning combination.
It is,
yes.
as it should be. And she will have one more opportunity. What was the coach telling her? As a coach, you coach yourself. What the?
Generally, because you do get 2 chances on the vault, you use the first one, and if the vault is terrific, then you say, okay, go back and do it again. And if there's some things that they need to change or improve, well, they get a second chance, so you might want to remind them of some of the things that you remind them of in workout. Here she goes. Much better vault. I would say whatever Earl was telling her seemed to work.
And a hug from Earl. You could see, well, we could see Earl, but our cameras didn't pick him up, sort of bending down, telling her to make sure you get good release. And then, of course, the other coach, here's Pam.
A lot of times when the coaches watch, they help the gymnast. Here's a look at her vault. Handspring, tuck front. Really a beautiful landing. You could see that her legs were a little bit apart, which would be a deduction in gymnastics. However, the judges are seated at the side, so they may not have been able to see the leg separation.
We'll be going to the bars in just a moment for Emily Schell, and she'll be performing from the Jim Carolina Gymnastics Academy, and we asked her about how she got started in gymnastics. Here's her response.
When I was 5, I was getting a little dangerous around the house, doing flips and stuff on the couch, so my parents took me to Gym Carolina in Raleigh, and I've been going there ever since. I've been in gymnastics for about 9 years, and I'm still in it, and I've done very well in the state and regional and national competitions over the last few years, so this is the first time I've come as a team to this national meet, but we're going to see how we do.
I'd say she's done well. National vault champion, 94-95, regional champion, national team member, 1995.
Emily Schell.
And she is on the uneven bar.
National vault champion, 1994-95.
Yes, now, Emily competes in the Junior Olympic division, which is the division just under the international or Olympic level. And she's performing an overshoot, one of the bar changes with a half turn.
She began at the age of 4, it's 10 years ago, and wants to someday become a physical therapist.
We just saw her perform her reverse hack or Tkachev. Very well done. And there's her dismount. Toe circle, front somersault.
Emily Schell.
Emily Schell from Jim Carolina Gymnastics Academy in Raleigh, North Carolina.
National team member.
Let's look at her dismount one more time.
We've talked so much about the value of elements, about how A is the most simple and E is the most difficult. Emily's dismount is rated as a C. That's a toe circle, front somersault out, which is really a very difficult landing because the athlete cannot see the floor when they land. So she handled it well and did a good job.
Nice smile on the face of Morgan White of the American Twisters. Her coach sort of getting her smile a little bit, trying to keep her loose. Christy?
I really like the style of Tim and Tony Rand when they coach. They're very committed to their athletes in a very supportive and positive way, and that's really nice to see. This is their final competitor, Morgan White, and unfortunately they had to count a fall earlier, which means that all of the gymnasts really need to hit, and a lot of pressure on little Morgan White. But, you know, the coaches are not putting in any additional pressure. They just wish her the best and remind her that she's done this a million times and see how we go.
Started at age 4.
And she's already a big giant 11.
Yes, exactly.
So she's a veteran. Now Morgan's setting up for her tumbling series. Handspring, layup, step out, back handspring, layup, step out.
Very nice.
And Morgan is so small that she can fit one more element on the beam in a tumbling sequence than most athletes can. There's her full turn, which is a required skill. And here we have tick-tock, immediate to sewn, cat leap, and then what we call a wolf jump. So that also fulfills one of the requirements for the balance beam of the acrobatic and the gymnastics elements connected.
Judges looking on intently. You can see it in the background.
Here's her dismount. A round off double twist. That's not one of the most difficult dismounts that we'll see, but it was well done and a nice solid routine. The good news is she finished, she hit her routine, she stayed on, and there looks to be a lot of relief over in the American Twisters corner.
And the hug from the teammates and coaches. Let's go back again and take another look at Morgan White.
And Morgan steps out on her back handspring a little bit early, and then she does back handspring layout, then another back handspring and another layout step out. You can see she's only got a couple of inches there left on the end.
And what about her dismount, Christy?
She sets up with a round off, and then she does a double twisting layout. She has a step on the landing, but, you know, it's a nice, solid routine. And to see a competitor that mature at age 11 that can handle that kind of pressure is really a good sign for the future of American Twisters.
Another outstanding competitor you're looking at right now, Gail Couture. And Gail told us earlier tonight she's got some new floor routines to show us.
I have a new floor routine, and it's like circus music, and I have 4 passes. I've done 4 passes before, but it was more like 3.5 passes. And I, usually during practice, I'm pretty consistent on my floor routines, and I have a new pass. My first pass is a double layout, and that's new for me. So I just hope that I can make it today, and it'll help our team out a lot if I can.
And she was also
And this is her favorite,
all around in the junior
floor
international
exercises.
division.
American Classic 1995, first floor, USGF Nationals in 94. Only 4.5 years in gymnastics, and she's 13 years of age for Capital Gymnastics in Virginia, Burke, Virginia.
Now, Gail will be performing a double layout for her first pass, the same pass that Alexis Breon did for her first pass. And very well done. Now, you notice that there was a mat placed on the floor. This is the first time that Gail has ever performed that skill in competition, and it is within the rules to allow her to put a mat on the floor for safety. Here's her second pass, a full in back out. So she's done 2 tumbling passes with an E in the first pass and a D in the second one.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Now we can hear the clapping of the crowd as they're kind of getting into it with her. Now, Gail's setting up for her third tumbling pass. But remember, she told us she'd put an extra one in, so she'll still have another one after this. Here's her third pass. Front handspring, front layout somersault with a half twist. Another 2/10 bonus wrapped up right there. I'd say that Gail is going to have a 10-0 start value, and if the last pass goes well, a score that's right up there close to perfection.
Wow.
It was a beautiful jump combination with a full twisting Shushanova. Here's the last tumbling pass. She finishes with a round off back handspring, triple twist, all the way around. That was just a beautiful job. She's a phenomenal performer and a real standout, an up-and-coming star for the United States team.
Coached by
Tatiana Perskaya, who is a former coach from the Soviet Union, and it looks like she brought some of her secrets with her.
Again, let's take a look at Gail Couture in her first pass. First to 4.
Okay, she sets up. Here's her second pass, her round off, back handspring, full in, back out in a tuck position. Here's another look at one of her tumbling passes, one of the 4. This is her last tumbling run, a round off back handspring, triple twist, and you see, even in slow motion, you can see that she was all the way around, squarely finished. That was a 10-0 start value, but in my book, it should be an 11.
Our competition will continue in just a moment, but first let's take time out for these messages. Along with Christy Craft, Johnny Holiday at the Greenleaf Resort in Haines City, Florida. 1995 Gymnastics Championships continues. Let's take a look at some more individual results from the last go-round. Richie in the vault, 9.45, and Shell in the bars, White in the beam, and Couture, who really kind of electrified this house tonight, on the floor with a 9.95.
Yes, she not only performed the most difficult floor routine of the competition, but also performed it so well, only 0.05 of a point deduction.
And tonight we're going for the team championship. American Twister still leading, but barely over New England Gym Express.
Yes, and it should be an interesting competition because New England and American Twisters are competing in the same rotation. So after American Twisters finish their event, they'll just have to wait and watch New England Express and see if they can catch them.
Once again, Ed Nepper has put together a magnificent week of activity for these young people, the families who've come to support the gymnast, and he's with us now. And for the 19th consecutive year, he's put on this team championships, and this, as Christy and I were talking with you earlier, Ed, may be the best year you've ever had as far as competition's concerned.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. This is the most exciting team competition that I've seen. The only other time that we had an exciting performer here was when we had Dominique Dawes and then Shannon Miller. But these girls, they far outweigh everything that we've had in the past because there's such solidarity all the way down the line. Jim Strada has come so far, and so has Capital, and it's just really exciting to me to see this.
As we have talked each year, we have come to join you for this event. Gymnastics continues to grow leaps and bounds. Over 2.5 million young people competing these days.
Right, we have a lot of youngsters out there in gymnastics right now. We of course have about 70,000 gymnasts who are really in the top class that you see like this, and probably the level under them. And they compete, they just compete tremendously now. The level has increased over anything that we've ever had before. What we're seeing, though, is we're seeing an awful lot of the Russians coming over here and coaching in our country, and it's certainly helping our system. It's teaching our coaches a little bit more about the training of an individual. They take more time to train their individuals, and I think they're a little bit more patient. And I believe that's what he's teaching us, to be more patient and wait for those skills to come along. And it's being reflected out here on the floor tonight.
And the great thing is that now these Soviet coaches are coming over here and helping us to prepare American athletes. And you had so many athletes here this weekend. How many athletes were in the competition?
Well, in total, we had 1,150. That's the highest number we've ever had. I think the highest prior to that was about 900. So you can see it's really advancing tremendously for us. Of course, coming down to the Greenleaf Resort here has really helped us too, because a lot of people come down, they want a vacation too, they want to go to Disney World and etc. But a lot of children qualified this year. I think the qualification process perhaps was a little bit more difficult, but we seem to attain more people. I don't know why.
This meet is turning into a spawning ground of new talent for the United States, and a real place for us to find our future stars.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing here tonight is you're going to see some of the children that are going to be, of course, in the trials in 1996, but I think we're looking more at the year 2000 for children like Brion and etc. I believe those children are going to really carry us into the new century.
Ed, let's get back to the competition. Thanks so much. Gabe Couture standing by. Only thing missing is Jeff. He'll be with us next year.
Jeff will be here next year.
Thanks, Ed, very much. Ed Nepper, Executive Director, USAIGC, and again putting on a magnificent week of competition and activities here in Haines City, Florida. Let's get back to the action now as Gail Couture is standing by to perform on the vault.
This is a new vault for Gail. She's performing a Yurchenko entry named after the Soviet gymnast Natalia Yurchenko, who first performed this vault over a decade ago. The gymnast performs a round off onto the board, back handspring onto the horse, and then Gail is going to do a half-turn layout front somersault out of it. In this competition, this vault will be rated at a 10.0, which means that if Gail performs it well, and we know that she can, that she could have a perfect score here.
Yeah, we saw her moments ago, and she really put on some performance on the floor exercises.
that was an outstanding vault, beautiful body posture. She did have a step on the landing so that we know that she won't get a perfect score, but for the first time to compete that is just an excellent, excellent debut of a brand new vault.
Christy, you like her, don't you? The whole style
I do like her. I like her. She just came out of nowhere, and you know, she's not only a terrific gymnast, but a delightful child. You know, we talked to her earlier today, and I'm happy to see this kind of athlete coming up. You know, she's strong, and she's a good representative for gymnastics.
And she really admires the talents of Nadia Komadic and Zim Zamaskul.
Yes. Gil told me that she's been watching the U.S. team and dreaming of being on the team, and now she's ranked #1 in the United States. That was actually a beautiful vault. If you look at her vault in the slow motion, you'll see that the vault is actually perfect. She does the round off, back handspring on, half turn, lay out front. You see that she's perfectly stretched. Her legs are together, her toes are pointed, but she actually had too much rotation.
She really has a shot at the Olympic team, doesn't she?
You know, she would, except that Gail is not age eligible for the 1996 Olympics. She's the #1 ranked junior in the country, but you must be turning 15 the year of the Olympics, and Gail will only be turning 14. So
next year.
The next year, the World Championships in '97, and certainly in the year 2000.
Kathy Burke from Jim B's Gymnastics you're looking at now, and Kathy is 17. We talked with her earlier and asked her if she had any advice to give to other young gymnasts around the country.
You can do anything you put your mind to, and this is just another obstacle in life, so go for it.
She's set to go for it on the uneven bars. Kathy Burke from Capital Gymnastics. I'm sorry, from Jim B's Gymnastics.
Michigan. She's been a member of the Jim B's since the age of 3.
One of the nice things about Kathy, she's so pleased that she's going on to the University of Michigan with a scholarship in gymnastics.
And the unique thing about Kathy is she has been with the same coaches, the same club, since she was 3 years old. Now she's ready to go to college. Beautiful reverse head, unbelievable height. That is by far the biggest release move we've seen in the competition. Where she performed a Ginger, which is another one of the big release moves. However, she did separate her legs, which will be a deduction. Now Kathy's setting up for her dismount. A double hop, little hop on the landing, but you know, a nice routine and really a very aggressive style. That's going to score well for Jim B's.
And she likes the challenge of gymnastics, and certainly a challenge, a hug from her teammates. And watch this tremendous maneuver now by Kathy.
Here's her reverse head. You see how high she is over the bar, literally 3 feet, 4 feet in the air above the bar, and that bar is 8 feet high already. Here's a look at her second release. Now she's swinging in. Okay, now we're going to see her dismount. That's her giant swing. And she's setting up double tuck somersault. A little hop on the landing, but a really nice routine. And I think Kathy's just happy to finish her competition so well.
All right, Cassie Cosgrove now from Jim Carolina in Raleigh, North Carolina. State champion, level 10, 1995 for Cassie. She'll work on the beam.
Cassie has an aggressive style on the balance beam. You can see that she just hopped right up and didn't even pause.
Nope.
As she's setting up for her first acrobatic element. It's her series, back handspring, layout, step out, back handspring. She was a little bit off, but you see how the gymnasts fight for every tenth of a point, and they don't want to come off that beam. There's a switch split to a tour jeté. That's really a difficult element, a dance element, and it's nice to see her perform it so well. Here's her full turn. That's one of the requirements of the balance beam. That's an unusual little move. She does a back hip circle around the beam as if it were an uneven bar.
Graceful performer, isn't she?
She is, and she has a really nice body line. You see that her legs are very straight. She has a beautiful toe point. There's a nice split jump, and that's what the judges are looking for, like 180 degrees. There's her back handspring, immediate cesson, one of the requirements. Now, if she can just get to the dismount without an error, this has been a nice routine. Back handspring, 1.5 twist.
12-year-old Cassie Cosgrove, Carolina Gymnastics Academy in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I'm sure her coach, Christine Kennedy, is very happy with that performance.
The powerful twisters team.
Get some hugs from her teammates.
Elite division.
Once again, let's look at Cassie.
Powerful floor worker.
This is a move that is very unusual for the balance beam. She does a cartwheel to a handstand, and then she does a back hip circle, which is really a move taken from the uneven bars. But it's just a nice little difference, a nice little bit of style.
And the dismount.
Here's her dismount. It's back handspring, into a 1.5 twist. And you see how she lands facing away from the balance beam. That's actually a very difficult landing because, again, she cannot see the floor when she's landing.
Now to Shannon Watt of the American Twisters, the defending champions here in Haines City, Florida. They're from Pompano Beach. And she'll be performing the floor exercise.
This is the final competitor for American Twisters. She's preparing for her first tumbling pass, a front somersault through to a double tuck. And Shannon certainly is a springy little thing. She really gets up in the air.
Shannon wants to be a sports commentator someday.
Well, what, and take our job?
In a minute.
Now, Shannon's doing some of her floor work. That's also a requirement that the athlete has to show changes in level. So you don't see the athlete always up on their feet. Sometimes they're down on the floor or at a kneeling level. Now she's setting up for her second tumbling pass.
You see her teammates in the background cheering her on.
Front somersault, front handspring into a 1.5 twisting layout somersault. That's also an E element. And the American Twisters always select very unusual elements. So you don't see them just do the stock routines. They always have individual elements for each girl. And that's really a testimonial to her coaches. There's her last tumbling pass, a double tuck. We saw many girls start their routines with a double tuck. She's finished. That's very strong.
Very nice. Shannon Watt.
Beautiful routine, and Shannon used in every tumbling pass a value skill at least a D. So the American Twisters are finished. Now they'll wait and see if they did well enough to retain their title.
Again, the work on the floor exercise of Shannon Watt. Here's the floor part.
And one of the best team competitions that we've had here.
Now we see Shannon, this is part of her choreography, and now she's performing a round straddle jump into a front somersault down to one knee. That's one of the requirements to do acrobatic and dance elements together, as is performing down low to the floor. So you don't always see the athletes up on their feet. They have to show 3 different levels: down on the floor, kneeling level, and then upright.
And her final tumbling pass.
Here's a look at her last pass, the round off back handspring, double tuck, beautiful landing. That's a D element for this competition.
She's
and
happy.
She looks really happy.
She does, so are her teammates.
They did a great job.
We shall come back to announce the winner of the team competition here in Haines City, Florida, the USAIGC National Team Championships, after we take time out for these important messages.
The record set by New England Gym Express in 1989 and 90, they become only our second back-to-back champions, and they break new ground as the first ever 3-time national team champions from Pompano Beach, Florida, American Twisters.
Congratulations to the ladies who represent American Twisters from Pompano Beach, Florida. And as you heard, the first 3-time national team champions. They won it in 1992, last year in 1994, and again they come back tonight here in Haines City at the Greenleaf Resort, and they're champions in 1995. Sitting with us now is one of the coaches, Tony and Tim Rand, coach this fine group of young ladies. And Tim, I'm sure probably difficult to express how happy you are because of the performance they put on tonight for you.
They definitely did a great job. They let it go down to the wire. We had a couple of mishaps on the last couple of events, and they really, gave me a little bit of a heart attack, but they did a super, super job coming through with the team.
Christy and I were impressed with the way you handle your team, the way you coach them.
Well, I think a lot of the training has to be done way before you come to a meet. When you come to a meet, you try to be as loose with the kids as you can, and you just try to give them as much encouragement to be the best that they can. And for us, it seems to have been great because we work as a team just about everywhere we go.
And you can see standing behind us, Giselle and Morgan and Marissa and Shannon, the members of the team championship tonight. That's awfully difficult to repeat, not only back-to-back, but 3 times out of the last 4 years.
Oh, yeah, we've been very fortunate with the teams we have, and these guys especially because they're so young. When you figure that Morgan's only 11, Shannon's 14, Marissa's 13, and Giselle's just 16, for their age and stage, they've done a wonderful, wonderful job.
What you're saying is the future is bright, Tim.
We have a great crop of kids in these gymnasts and in the group that's coming up. We're very, very excited at Twisters right now.
And Tim, we also heard that you just returned from representing the United States in an international meet. When did you get back? Where did you go, and how did you do?
Oh, we did great. We just got back with Kelly Davis, who's probably our top all-around gymnast, and we went to China, where we ended up competing for 2 weeks. The food was not much to write home about, but the competition was great. Kelly took 3rd, and we had a super, super trip.
Well, congratulations.
Oh, thanks a lot.
We asked you earlier about you have so many young people competing, and not only in Pompano Beach, but also in Tampa.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. I married into a great family. The LaFleur's gymnastic family has been around for years. My wife is Tony LaFleur, and we have 3 gyms up in Tampa that we work out of, and 2 in, one in Boca and 1 in Pompano. So we've been very, very fortunate with gymnastics right now.
Tim Ednepper mentioned to us, and Christy and I mentioned throughout the telecast, this is probably the best all-around group of gymnasts we have seen in many, many years. In fact, maybe in the whole entire 19 years of this event.
Oh, I think that the gymnasts in the USA are just getting stronger and stronger. When you see little gymnasts like Alexis Breon from Jim Strada and Katie McFarland, and you see the talent that's all around the United States right now, I'd say that the USA is very, very strong for 96 and especially for 2000.
Tim, our congratulations to you and Tony for a great job and true champion.
Thank you very, very much.
Tim Rand, the coach of the American Twisters from Pompano Beach, Florida. We'll take a break and we'll come back to Haines City, Florida in just a moment. Haines City, Florida, site of the 1995 USAIGC National Team Gymnastics Championship. And repeating tonight, as we told you earlier, Tim Rand and Tony Rand's team, American Twisters from Pompano Beach, Florida, the first 3-time champion. Look how close it was, Christy.
Outstanding performances all night long from all the teams. Only 0.25 of a point separating the top 3 teams in this competition.
And we saw some tremendous individual performers tonight as well.
I think we saw some of the future stars of United States gymnastics. Gail Coutura, Alexis Breon, Brianne Rutherford, just to name a very few.
And I think Coach has got himself a great future as far as his team is concerned.
Absolutely. We saw some young gymnasts as well as the experienced veterans.
We thank you very, very much for joining us here in Haines City. We'll be back again next year at this same resort, Greenleaf, in Haines City, Florida, for the 1996 National USAIGC Team Championships. For Christy Kraft, this is Johnny Holiday. Thanks so much for joining us, and our congratulations once again to the team champions, American Twisters of Pompano Beach, Florida. Good night, everybody.
What's your favorite?
The cartwheel.
Because where there's a supermarket cart, there's probably a Bank of Oklahoma. Bank of Oklahoma's full-service supermarket locations give you more flexibility 7 days a week by placing every banking service you need right by the bread. BOK makes you feel at home with your money.
Even at the supermarket.